He said, "Oh, what if we name it Anti-Fuego?" And originally it was spelled A-U-N-T-I-E. Everybody knows fuego, Spanish for fire. And so they let him call it Anti-Fuego soil conditioner, which to a thinking person sort of says fire ant killer. But that was okay because it didn't say it was fire ant killer directly. Anyway, you can use that if you want to drench the mound with it. It works. What do? When I mop my floors, I take my mop water and go find a fire ant mound and pour on it. It kills them first time every time. So there are other ways to go about.
Mop water does? It's just soap
If it's
and
got
water?
orange oil in it. I put like 2-3 ounces of orange oil in a bucket, and that's what I'm on my floors with. And I guess it mixes with all the microbes and stuff that come off my floors. And, anyway, it's a very, very effective fire ant killer.
You are talking about wood floors, right?
Or linoleum.
Linoleum.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
tile.
I have both, and it works very well on both. Other questions? Anything?
Diatomaceous earth.
Okay, I'll talk about it. Let me say one thing, because I know people always have to run off and do things. If any of y'all were here last Saturday, and if by any chance you bought anything on your way out and paid for it with a check, would you talk to Wendy or Roberta or Donna on your way out? We got badly burglarized earlier this week, and all sorts of things went out. I don't think there's any problem with the compromise, but who would believe that criminals in 4 minutes' time could pry a stick out of the concrete floor and get it into the trucks? 4 minutes from the time the police got called till they were here. But anyway, long story. If you wrote a check to us last week, talk to Donna or Wendy or Roberta on your way out. Anyway, diatomaceous earth. Interesting stuff. Diatoms are little aquatic creatures, some of them marine, some of them freshwater. They have a sharp exoskeleton. They incorporate a lot of silicon into their exoskeleton, which means that on a microscopic basis, it has very, very sharp edges. And these creatures are microscopic. You can't see them with the naked eye, really. But they die, their little exoskeletons are left behind because they don't decompose. It's basically silicon. And it builds up. It's built up to layers many feet deep in some parts of the world. This is what is called diatomaceous earth, which is in effect the little exoskeletons of the diatoms. Now, what is useful about that? Well, these things are tiny, just tiny, tiny, tiny with sharp edges. And if an insect with it or walks through it or whatever else, they pick it up in their joints. Insects have a different kind of body. They don't things like that. They have a hard outer shell or skeleton made of chitin and other things. And if you cut out that skeleton, they start dehydrating, they lose moisture, and they die. When you get diatomaceous earth on things like fire ants or cockroaches or things like that, it gets down in their joints and it starts cutting. So this is a very, very effective insect killer if you get it on hard-shelled insects. Will it work on caterpillars? No, they don't have a hard shell. Will it work on fire ants? Yes, it will work very well. Is it safe? There are 2 forms of diatomaceous earth. And this is totally safe. This is actually put into animal feeds because it takes care of a lot of internal parasites for, I don't know, all sorts of things in cattle and horses and dogs and even in people. Malcolm Beck claims he takes a tablespoon in the morning. I wonder where Malcolm's getting all the parasites. But it doesn't kill them directly. What it does in animals, it irritates the intestine. The intestine forms a kind of a slime material that carries all the parasites out. People that are used to spending tons of money worming their horses and cattle and things like that, just mix some of this with the dry food. You'll never have to use a worm again, and the environment will be a whole lot better off for it. The pharmaceutical wormers that people use on cattle, the Ivomec and things like that, also kill dung beetles. We could spend a whole hour talking about all the good that dung beetles do. But the whole point is, it's safe enough to eat. Now, they also take diatomaceous earth and they treat it at very high temperatures to take those sharp edges off, and then they use it as a filtering material. Anybody has a swimming pool knows about using this in swimming pool filters. Anybody that's ever spent any time in a research lab, we use it for funnels to filter various products through. Once it has been heat treated, 2 things happen. Number 1, it's no longer an effective insect killer because they took all the sharp edges off. Number 2, they have turned it into a crystalline form, which is very dangerous to you to breathe. Those of y'all that use DE and swimming pool filters, don't breathe that stuff. It'll give you what they call white lung disease. Bad, bad news. The natural diatomaceous earth does not do that. It's not crystalline. It does not cause any problems whatsoever. But it can be used, you know, fighting fleas on your animals. And you don't want to use the standard veterinary products. Back in the old days when we all used flea powder was 5% bad chemical called 7 and 95% diatomaceous earth. Turns out the DE was killing as many fleas as the 7 was. And if you want a powder that you can gently work into the fur of your animals that will kill fleas, diatomaceous earth is pretty good. You've got a fire ant mound and you are out in the field, you forgot somewhere else with you, you can sprinkle this on the mound and stir it up a little bit. The ants will get it in their exoskeleton and it kills them all out fairly effectively. What specifically did you want to know about diatomaceous?
I was worried about like if you watered it, but obviously it came from water.
Yeah, if you water it, it loses its effectiveness.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, but it doesn't create any caustic problem or anything like that. Once it gets wet, it tends to clump and no longer gets into the joints of the creatures as well, so it really loses effectiveness.
What about scorpions? What will kill scorpions?
Scorpions, DE will kill scorpions, and it slows them down and ultimately kills them. I know when Roberta built her home out in the country, anytime you build in the country, you can have scorpions for a while. She just would keep a band of DE, go out every time it rained hard, and just sprinkle out some more DE around the foundation. And I don't know, she had just 2 or 3 scorpions in the first 5 years she was in the house. So it really does slow them down. If you want to spray something that will kill scorpions, the so-called bioganic, this stuff is, again, it's a totally safe product. It's made of sesame oil, thyme oil, and clove oil. Somehow you mix those 3 or pharmaceutical or food grade oils together, an insect site, a nerve site that insects have and arachnids have. But again, it's harmless to people. But this will kill roaches, this will kill ticks, this will kill scorpions, this will kill spiders. A lot of things that are hard to kill. Scorpions are not insects, they're what we call arachnids, which is what spiders are. Now, I don't usually recommend killing spiders. They're really very good things. Some of them very, very interesting. But if you're looking for something that will kill
Do you spray
scorpions,
that? Is that
you can spray it, yeah.
What's it called?
It's called bioganic. Here they just call it organic insect control. Here it is, bioganic.
Does that stay effective if you spray it?
I asked Barney Grimm that question, and he said that on some tests they did with roaches, it lasted at least 2 weeks. Smells pleasant, totally safe. You can use it inside or outside. You had to get it first.
I have a new problem with grasshoppers.
Mm-hmm.
Will that biogas kill them?
It will affect them.
They're big.
Yeah, I know it, and they're bad. The only thing that really works well against big grasshoppers is that. And yeah, grasshoppers are a real problem. Thanks for coming. Do it again.
I do have a big spider. He likes grasshoppers.
Oh yeah, that's called an Argiope or an orb spider. Yeah, I pick the grasshoppers up and stick them to the web. Grab them and spin the silk around them. Yeah, it's interesting to watch.
Cruel thing.